Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Clean Humor with Trudi and Anthony. We got a very special guest on tonight. I'm gonna call him the man, the myth, the legend, the GOAT, one of the OGs of the industry.
The FlowPro father.
This guy,
Father of FlowPro.
he's just about been there since I started. Had my back in things, helped me out. The knowledge that's going to be on this show tonight is going to blow your mind. His name's Jud West. He really needs no introduction. Everybody sees his name up there, his face. He created the FlowPro. It's a downstream injection device that you can be away from your trailer, your truck, mash a button, and your chemicals come on and off. We're going to jump on here and we're going to let him give a little testimony about how he got into washing and what inspired him to do that, and then go there and let him tell us about what inspired him to create the FlowPro, and then we'll just see where the show goes from there. So we're here on Clean Humor, and if you ain't done it already, go to www.panhandleexpo.com. Right there, going across the top of the screen. Get registered for the event in November. Let's make this one of the biggest events that we've had at the Panhandle. So a lot of knowledge, a lot of learning going to be there. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just getting excited more and more, Trudi, closer than it gets.
Yeah, it's coming fast. It's coming fast. And Jud is actually, he single-handedly ruined everybody's steps on their damn Fitbit. Because you don't need to take the steps anymore. You can push a button.
I agree with that. I gotten fatter.
I heard a douche.
I did too. I must have made it funny. But no, seriously. I mean, here we have those 3-story houses on stilts on the beach. And to tell you what, you climb up on the third, it's a tiny balcony. And you're like, you can't use high pressure there. You're going to blow the screen out. So there you got to trot downstairs and then, turn off the chemical and run back up. And then you got to, I missed a spot. Now I got to run back down and get the chemical back flowing and run back up. So Shane always made me do the balconies.
It's been a game changer for me on my trucks and trailers that I've operated and had. But Jud, tell us, give everybody a little background about yourself and about how you got into washing, and then when people get on here and start asking questions, we'll get into that and see what we can answer for folks.
All right. And before I start, let's let everybody go ahead and start asking questions. If not, we're going to be bored tonight because, I don't have a big story. It's a simple story. My background, is manufacturing management. I did that for 20 plus years. I didn't get into pressure washing until I was 39. And I got burnt out working in factories behind 4 walls, and I wanted to do something outside. So basically, I was driving home one day. I saw someone pressure washing. I said, hey, maybe I want to do that. I researched it for about 90 days and said, man, that's pretty easy to get into. I could spend $1,500 at Home Depot and then I could call myself a pressure washer, do it part-time to see if I like it. And then I thought, well, if I did that, I would probably, at the first sign of trouble, I would lose $1,500. So what I did, and I decided to go out and spend $11,000, which is against every rule you should do. but I did it because I knew I had to keep going no matter what. And I started it part-time, but I spent $11,000, and I knew that there was no turning around at that point. And it was $11,000 well spent. 3,000 PSI, 3-gallon-a-minute machine, an enclosed trailer, and a buffer tank and a chemical tank for $11,000. They saw me coming, okay? And I had never pressure washed. But fast forward, my first job I got, besides testing my house, was about $11,000 job. It was 142 little homes side by side, all vinyl siding. But I had never pressure washed before.
Right.
Never even ran one besides my house. So I was still working full time, and I hired 2 people to pressure wash and train them, and I never pressure washed. So after about a month, they got all the job done using all pressure. All we did was pressure everything, and I mean chemical and pressure. And when it was all said and done, I had a little bit of money extra, and I had equipment, and we had a little bit of knowledge, and I knew then that it was going to be a pretty good business because, I mean, it paid for everything on the first job. I got lucky, obviously, but that's kind of how I got into it. I just got burnt out of working. We were a wiring manufacturer making wire harnesses, and that's kind of my background, the electrical, and I kind of had some ties with that, and that's kind of where the FlowPro came in. But it came in way later, and that's the, probably the, I don't know how to say it, but the first experience with remote systems was with Russ Johnson. And, Russ has been in the industry forever. He built those systems, and I'm guessing around 2012, 2014, and they were solenoid driven, and it was just remote injectors, not the bypass. And they worked fairly well. However, I think Russ was ahead of the technology. The solenoid didn't seem to last, but he was on the right track by far. And there, most of you know Russ. And let me turn my phone on. I didn't realize I still had it. But he helped me back in 2012, 13, 14, or whatever, and I used several of them. But as they began to mess up, I didn't replace them. I just kind of, they were a little pricey back then as well. And so along the same time frame, though, James Fowhaver, I hope I said that right, he introduced the manual bypass, the injector bypass. And that was along 2013. He's been washing since like 1981. I mean, he's been around forever, too. And so when I got the manual bypass, I loved it. And I rocked it on probably 4 or 5 years. And then along comes the shirt box. Christopher shirts or Chris shirts. I bought 3 of those because I liked what Russ introduced. And then I thought, well, I'll try it again with the shirt box. It's been 5 or 6 years later. And I bought 3 of them and loved them. Had no problem with them whatsoever. And but you may ask, well, why did you want to go further? And the difference was we kept the injector in play all the time with the shirt box. You either ran water through it or you ran chemical through it. So you were always going through your injector. And if you wanted to surface clean, at that point you would have to take your injector out, or if you're running a bypass like I was, you would have to walk over and your bypass to the full flow mode. And so between those 3, they kept my interest in it. And then around 2019, I had a Facebook friend, Josh Instinct, and he and I became friends. I've never met him in person, but we've always maintained contact. And he and I started talking about a remote system for the bypass. And we got a little deeper into it. And he actually is the one that convinced me to use the D&10 ball valve that we all use for our bypasses now, because every vendor has it. And if it goes out, it's a simple buy and replace. And because the actuators that we were using had their own ball valves that would attach to them, so that means we had to create something to attach the ball valve to the to the actuator. Unfortunately, along that same time, Josh ran into some difficulties and kind of stepped away from pressure washing and Facebook for an extended period of time. So I had a decision to make, and I decided to go forward with it by myself. And 18 months later, I get to the point where I have have one that's marketable. So I threw on these Facebook groups. I threw on there that, hey, I'm looking for some testers. And I had well over 100 people, message me wanting to, and they didn't even know what it was. And Trudi and them were one of them. And so I picked 5 people that I didn't know, and well, 4 that I didn't know, and Josh was coming back around at this time, and he wanted to test it, so I sent him one as well. And the basic concept was, here, I'm gonna send it to you for 2 weeks. You try it out. Tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear, so we can make this thing better, and we can make it where it's gonna be a good product. And after 2 weeks, it wasn't even 2 weeks really. All 5 of the people said, I want it. I want to go ahead and get it. And I knew then it was going to be a pretty good tool. And from then on, we've improved it probably 5 generations now. Over 5 years, we've improved it. And the way we improved it is really from the contractors. They're constantly messaging me, hey man, I love this thing, I love it, but hey, what if we could do this? Or what if you had this? And one thing about it, I'll listen. I'm slow at changing, but I'll listen to the contractors, and we try to improve it based on our needs when we're in the field. So that's kind of how we got started on the FlowPro.
I think we got one of those prototypes, didn't we?
Yeah, that's what you were one of them. Yes.
Yeah, Shane had it. I think it was his first day he had it on. He came back. He goes, "Babe, I love this thing because we're keeping it." I'm like, yeah. "Are we allowed to keep it?"
Yeah.
Pay for it.
And that was a bad one. I mean, it worked, but it wasn't like we have today.
Right.
And then right after that, we released it in maybe December of 19, maybe, or 20, I can't remember. And the first person to buy one was Paul Robinson out of Texas. And believe it or not, his is still working. The same one, the same actuator. Mine didn't even last for 2 years, a little over 2 years, the actuator. And then I always changed mine because I changed models. But he still has, the very first one I sold, he still has in operation. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now, they don't all last that good. Now, he takes care of his equipment too. Yep. And that's one thing I did learn is some people, and I'm not pointing fingers at Anthony, but some people don't take care of their equipment as good as others. And he does a great job today.
Let me call out a few people and say hi real quick. We got Nick Graziosi on here. We got Justin Hampton. And hey, Justin, you did get the first. You almost got the first comment in, but anyway, we got Shane is watching, Alana's watching, and 6 other people. Doesn't say who they are. Anthony's watching like 30 times. David Rivers is here. Hey, David. Yeah. We got more people. These are just the guys that commented on here. So, hey guys, welcome everybody. If you have questions, please type them up. Jud's going to answer them all. And I think I was probably the last one to use the FlowPro because I'm too old. I don't like change. And they kept putting more stuff on the trailer I pulled, and the trailer I pulled, and there'd be new stuff on there. And then once I started using it, it was in my pocket the whole time. That remote was in there. I lost my girlish figure after that. I tell you what, because I didn't have to do the steps.
And that's the important thing. People don't. I mean, it saves you time, and that's critical. But it also saves you energy to get done sooner and go home and spend time with your wife, go golf, hunt, fish, whatever you do, wash another house. Mm-hmm. And where you really save the time, and a lot of people don't understand this, is walking back and forth probably only takes you a couple of minutes. But every time you go to your trailer, you're stopping to get a drink of water. You're stopping to get a snack, you're checking your phone, a customer asks you a question, the next thing you know, you're at 5 minutes. And you do that 4 or 5 times a house. You do that 4 houses, you're well over an hour today of time that you wasted.
That's almost a house wash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So we've got a comment here. I don't know if we can put. Let me See if we can put there's a big one. I don't know if it'll fit on there. David Rivers said, I had a low volume boxes since 2018, but when I built my trailer in 2022, he put 2 new FlowPros on the trailer. I was blown away first time using it. Won't run anything else. I still want you to keep them the way the light was originally. So I know that was the thing. When the light was on, she got it in there. So when the light was on, we would think the chemical's on, but it's not.
Well, it is.
It is now?
It is today.
It is now.
But I'll tell you, I'll explain 2 things. It is a chemical injector bypass. So when it was bypassing, I wanted the light on.
Yeah.
That means it's in bypass. However, everybody in the industry did it opposite. On any other remote system was done opposite. So I fought it for a couple of years, and I probably had 50-50 people. Half of them wanted it the way it was, half of them wanted it the other way. I made a decision to change it because it's industry standard, basically. That's the main reason to change it.
Right.
It's just like when you see that light flashing, it's like caution, caution, caution. And that way other people can see as light flashing, they're going to look and see what's going on. And
my thought behind that was, if you want the light flashing to bring attention to people, it doesn't matter what you're spraying, even water. In reality, you would want it to flash and rinse because you rinse twice as long as you would apply mix. So you're drawing attention to your trailer a lot more rinsing than you are mixing. So that was part of the philosophy as well.
That makes sense. We've got Jared Swan on here now. Tyler, lights flashing, chemical is going. He likes it that way.
Again, that's the industry standard, so that's the main reason we changed.
Yep, it is. So, anyway, so the event, you have been donating your time and your expertise for every event that I have had. And I appreciate that, and I hope everybody appreciates you for doing that. You don't have to do that. It's not locked in a contract. You don't have to do that. You do that because you want to help educate these contractors and teach them the right way not the right way, maybe the more efficient way how to do things.
Yeah, and that's one thing a lot of these groups get caught up in, and we'll talk about your event in just a minute.
Yeah.
But they all fuss and fight about different philosophies, different methods. And to be honest, it's contractor preference. As long as you get to the same end result, and you like doing it one way, then that's not a problem. You shouldn't argue with somebody. It's really that simple.
Right.
I try just about every concept I can, and I've been for 20-something years, and I still, in fact, my wife gets mad at me a lot of times because she'll be over in the chair sitting next to me, and I'm sitting in one chair, and she's watching a show or something, and I'm on the phone just reading, scrolling through Facebook, reading, and when I see something that I think might interest me, I'll keep reading and dig deeper, and she'll look at, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm learning.
Hold on, Shane's definitely got a comment on this. He gets mad at me all the time. I'm like, I'm working. He goes, shut it down. I said, but everybody's off work. They've had their shower. They've eaten dinner. Now they got the questions. So now I need to be available. But
and I'll try to be. And I've never told people this what I'm fixing to say, and it's I probably even shouldn't say it, but I work all the time. I work all the time because it keeps me out of trouble. I quit back in 1995 because I didn't know when to quit drinking, and it made my marriage much better. It made everything. But we work all the time, and we have FlowPros. You probably can't see it on the map back there, but we have FlowPros in Australia, in Belgium, in United Kingdom, in the Netherlands, Canada. I mean, we're in 5 or 6 countries, just about every state in the United States, and we have well over 4,000 units out in the field. I mean, well over. And
that's a phenomenal number, just being from a small
Yeah.
production that you have and that much out there in the time that you've done it. I mean, that's pretty good numbers.
It's and the reason they're good numbers is because the system works.
So here's a comment. So Anthony works all the time. You reading this? So does Anthony.
Yep.
Last time he stopped working, he ended up in Jamaica.
Yeah.
That's another story for another.
Yeah, that's not for this show. This is clean humor.
Now let's talk about your Panhandle event for a minute.
Okay.
And you know, I met you when you tested the FlowPro. Really, is when I met you.
Yeah.
And then I met you in Atlanta. I think your first little gig.
Young Guns. Yeah, the Young Guns up in Atlanta.
And for whatever reason, we seem to hit it off pretty good. And I love going to your show, and I tell people every time I talk to them about a show, it's if you're going to a event this year and you can only go to one, you need to go to Trudi's. And
right.
and it's because there's a lot of people, a lot more than me. Anthony donates his time. There's a lot of people that donate a lot of time. I mean, we don't get paid for it. So that obviously you have to like what you're doing, and you want to help the community or the industry. And Trudi does the same thing. And I enjoy talking about the gadgets and things because a lot of them are new people that just, when I started, you know, you went and bought a machine from a vendor, even a vendor. You would buy 1,000 PSI, 4 gallon a minute. You know, you may get an injector, you may not, but you're gonna get 5 beautifully colored tips and a wand, and maybe 50 foot of hose. And to be honest, the vendors still haven't caught up, in my opinion, because that's the last thing we use.
Mm-hmm. I don't have any of those on mine. Unless we're checking the unloader.
Yeah.
Setting the unloader. That's what the only time we use that for.
Yeah. And so I think the vendors, once the vendors realize you need to sell injection systems, soft wash systems that you can use with the pressure washer, like, you know, downstreaming with a M5 twist or a shooter tip, and maybe doing a manual bypass or even a remote bypass or whatever. The sooner they pick that up, the better people are going to be. Let's see what I was reading that. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. He's one of our other trainers.
Yeah, and he's I believe he's out of Georgia, isn't he?
I believe so.
Brunswick, Georgia, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. Unless he moved. People move.
He's there. But so I like for 20 something years I stayed behind the scenes all the time, and I'm gonna give a plug to somebody else, and a lot of the industry doesn't like him and a lot of them love him. But he's the one that really convinced me to come out of the background. And that's Ron Lester.
Yeah.
Ron convinced me to come to your show and help teach or share. I'm not even gonna say teach because a lot of people probably know more than I do, but when we start sharing and talking and asking questions, we all learn.
That's right.
Honest, you get in there on those training where you got 40 people there, somebody's gonna bring up something, and then we all gonna learn something.
Yep.
And it's pretty neat because I actually have learned a lot from just sharing it with them.
Yeah, just networking back and forth. And, you know, Ron was the one that pulled me out of my shell and threw me in front of the camera, in front of everybody to talk about the paint issues. It was like, you need to do a class. I'm like, I failed public speaking in college. That ain't for me, sorry. And then he got me up there, and I think the first time, was it? Yeah, I guess the Young Guns was the first time. And the second time was maybe it was at Marco, so that could have been the third time because I did one before. So anyway, I mean, I did it a few times, and I was just like, and now I'm just like spitting it out because
that don't even bother you
in here. So boom.
So it bothers me a lot more than it does her, I promise. She's used to it.
The thing I like the class that Jud does, or the teaching and stuff, is the gadget. We call it the gadgets, something something. Forgot what I would call it, but anyway, it's what you really need when you first start out and you go to your big box stores or something. You're gonna get a pressure washer, like you said. You're gonna get 4 multicolored tips,
Mhm.
and that's what you get. You get a wand, but the swivels, the ball valves, stuff like that they do not even offer you at the big box store.
Right.
Is
When they don't teach
you'll
you how
be
to do
amazed. You'll be amazed at the people. The first year we did that, I helped him do it, and the first year, you'd be amazed at the people that said, "I don't have that."
Mm.
Yeah.
We had quite a few that was still going backwards and forth to the truck or the trailer to turn the machine off because they didn't have the ball valve.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
swap, the
And they
swap
don't
stuff.
teach you. They don't
And
teach you. They sell you something, and they don't teach you how to use it correctly. And I'm seeing still, I get guys buying equipment, and they're calling me. I need help, and then I find out that they didn't buy it from me. But I'm going to help them anyway because I don't want them. They just spent all their money on this machine. I don't want them ruining the machines or ruining somebody's property because they don't know how to use it. Let's put a zero tip on oxidize vinyl and see what happens. Just write or sign our name on it or something. Because I've seen that. Let's don't put the quick connect on all the way, and there goes your J rod going through the window. There's little things that you have to know, and you only know those from experience.
yeah.
And the Panhandle event is contractors helping contractors and not teaching because we don't know it all. I don't know it all. I know Jed doesn't know it all. I know Anthony for sure doesn't know it all.
I
But
don't know.
I'm kidding because we all learn there. So I learn every time I host a show.
Road tip
I
it.
learn. So it's not that we think we know everything. We don't. But what we do know and what we've learned, we want to
We know
share.
what not to do.
Yes, we do know because we didn't have Facebook, social media, we had none of that. So guess what happens if we came across we didn't know what to do? All this stain. Well, let's pull every 5 or maybe 15 buckets of crap we got on our trailer and see which one works.
See
And
what
thank God that it doesn't make a mushroom cloud and put us in the hospital because that's what happens. We trial and error is all we had back then.
Yeah,
We
but
got a question on there about what kind of training or support do you offer new customers? I assume they're talking about the FlowPro or just in general. Probably FlowPro or.
I think so. Not saying. So Travis, you talking about the FlowPro or just education in general?
Well, I'll answer for FlowPro,
Okay.
and then you can answer what Panhandle does for your people. When they buy a machine from you. But from a FlowPro standpoint, that's one reason why I think we have grown is because there are a lot of vendors out there that are great before the sale, and they want your money and but as soon as you buy from them, some of them don't want to answer the phone anymore.
Yeah.
Now, my phone gets harder to answer this time of year, so unfortunately, some people have to wait, and I do make some people mad sometimes, but I'll eventually get back to them. But what we do is with every new FlowPro we send a card that has our phone number on it, my direct cell phone number. So if you have any issues, you call me. Don't email me because email is the last thing I check.
and I can get checked 3-4 days later.
Maybe. Call me or text me. Now, especially this time of year when the start of the season's up, and this year's even been more hectic for other issues. Everybody knows the customs and the tariffs and all that. But what we do, so we want you to call us, and we have a 2-year warranty on our system. Now, that doesn't cover your handheld remote because most people drop them in pools or on concrete. And it's not going to cover your wearable injector or your ball valve. It'll cover it for a certain amount of time. But the brains of the FlowPro is the remote system, with the receiver, and the brawn is the actuator. And those are the two main components that if they mess up within 2 years, we're going to replace it, and it's not going to cost them a dime.
Yeah.
But I get calls every day to help with something, and I'd say half of them are not even a FlowPro issue. But that just goes back to going to your show and spending time and donating time.
Well,
Because
if you had to say the biggest call that you get, I know the answer to it because I answered a lot of calls, a few calls, because I see people on Facebook or whatever, and people know that we kind of, all three of us is kind of tight. But anyway, I get a phone call and I get a guy and answer. But your viewpoint, you the creator of this is your baby. What's the number one thing? And it's pretty simple. I mean, but
well, there's two that are really, really classic. One is my remote's not working. Okay, it's just not working. I push the button, nothing's happening. Well, most people, and I'm going to give them an out because most people don't realize. Well, most of them don't read instructions. Most men don't read instructions, and it clearly tells you on there to turn your remote on. And most people don't. That's the number one call I get. The second call I get is my injector's not full of chemicals. Or that's probably the one you're thinking about. I'm probably missing it. But those two, and my FlowPro's not full of chemical. Well, the FlowPro really doesn't. All it does is redirect the flow of water, either through your injector or by your injector. If you're not pulling chemical, it's either because your injector's messed up or you have a clog on your chemical line. Or, I mean, there's several reasons. Or it could be the ball valve is wearing out and it mimics the injector not pulling. So what was your number one call?
the battery.
Yeah.
In the remote.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've I've had to help several people on that one here lately. But if I'm sitting around, if I'm at home, usually I'm scrolling, just because that's what we do most of the time. And somebody starts jumping on my buddies and stuff. I have to, hey, hold on, and I message them. I say, hey, what's going on? Or call me and see if we can't get this problem fixed. Because I mean, it's like I tell him, like he said, he washes all day. I mean, he's up at 5. He, we got him an hour past his bedtime now. So,
yes, you are.
But he's a busy man. I mean, if you call him, he don't answer the phone. Leave him a message, shoot him a text, say, hey, Jud, can you give me a call when you get a chance? And he'll get back with you. I mean, or call Panhandle, call Trudi, call me. I mean, somebody can get you fixed.
Well,
usually when I get a message or it's like, hey, is Jud okay? I left a message. He's not getting me back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, he's really busy. What's the problem? And we can see if we can work it out for you. If we can't work it out, then I text Jud and say, hey, this person's trying to get a hold of you. He's on a job. He needs help. And Jud will call him right back. So it's not like he takes my call all the time, and jumps over ahead of it. But, we do try to take care of it in-house if we can. So we try to alleviate that. So, I tell the people, if you buy a FlowPro from me or whoever, try and call them first and let Jud keep doing what Jud does best.
Well, I'll tell you this, 9 months out of the year, we can answer the phone probably any time. When we start the season, because everybody waits to buy, and that's another whole story we could talk about, but I think we need to get into other things. But what people don't realize is, at 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock p.m. my time, Eastern time, we get a lot of West Coast calls because they're kind of shutting down for the day. So I'm either on the phone or texting probably till 11 o'clock at night. And then we have, I get some parts from China, which everybody knows. I start dealing with them about 10 o'clock at night, in between the phone calls and the messages. And so we're pretty much 16 hours or more a day trying to answer questions. And again, 9 months out of the year is easy. This time of year is hard. It takes a toll. I've been here every night till I left early one night to go take my mom to get ice cream. But I've been 8 or 9, 10 o'clock every night.
Had to be that favorite's kid, didn't you?
Well, I'm her favorite number 4 kid. Going back to the show, I think people it's just so easy and relaxed, and it's free. And you have it at either Destin or Panama City. Last year was great.
Yeah, we're doing it back at Panama City. I love that venue.
And it was great. And you're right there at the beach. Bring your wife, bring kids for that matter, if you can, if they're on break or something. And it, my wife went for the first time last year. And if you enjoy it, I mean, she didn't go to the show. She enjoyed going to the beach and I think Anthony, she went with your wife somewhere one day.
Probably.
Or they were planning on it. So it's a great time, and there's vendors there too that you kind of see the other side sometimes, because we all want to take shots at vendors, for whatever reason, and then when you get to meet them and know them, they're just like us.
So what's going to be different this year is on Tuesday between 1 and 6, we're going to have more in-depth classes. So paver sealing, instead of doing a 45-minute or an hour session, you can do a 3 or 4 hour session and start maybe by stripping the pavers, cleaning the pavers, sanding the pavers, or the whole from start to finish, and go over all of that in depth, so they can really learn how to use that product. And then we're also going to have the striping guy. He's going to do a more detailed class. I think his is going to be paid because he has to buy the paints and all that, and it does add up. Those striping paints are not cheap. So he's going to have a paid class. And then we are going to have David Sessions. He's going to be speaking while we're setting up. He's going to be in the classroom. I'm working on one more, so we're going to have 4 more in-depth classes on that Tuesday. And as soon as we get them, hopefully, I'm going to put a deadline next Friday. We'll have them up on that website right above there. And you can register for those. I know they're going to do a cutoff limit, just because you don't want 100 people trying to see what you're doing. They want to keep it more intimate, so everybody has a chance to try it and ask questions. So that's going to be different this year.
So the gadget class that I do, it wouldn't hurt to make it longer either.
Well, we got that at an hour, and then we've got a little extra time for just in case.
Because we're always answering questions.
Yeah, I know. I kept yelling at you, go to the other class, but I'm still talking. So yeah, we did boost. We're doing 5 training sessions instead of 6, and they're going to be an hour long instead of 45 minutes.
Good.
And there's going to be, I think, 15 minutes or 20 minutes between each class, so there's more time to go through and then go to the suppliers. Guys, these suppliers are there. Use them to your benefit. You asked about the thing. Sutner's there, and you use Sutner guns. You can go and just dig deep into it and find out what you want to know. Hey, how does a sledge sucker really work? How does it do that? How does it? You put water in it, sucking and blowing up the other. How does that work? You can ask me. You can ask me, but you can ask Jud. You can ask Anthony. He knows too. But if there's some questions you need to ask, Veloci's there. The hose company was there. We had AC Lockley with this. Yeah, he was doing great. PW Comet was great, and PSI. That's a good one, because they're going to be bringing out some stuff. I think I've got some hints. There's going to be some new stuff released, and but yeah, these are the guys that you want to ask about your machine. PSI, you go talk to them about, hey, where should I keep my PSI on my this gallon a minute? What's how low can I go without it causing it to not wash correctly or work correctly? So all that information is going to be out there. All these people, and you get to go face to face with these people. You don't get to do that in a store
every day
or online. You don't get to do that every day. So yeah, it's great to be one-on-one with them.
Hey, going back to your paver sealing,
Yes.
doing the stripping first and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Well, I know you know him, Aaron Hewitt.
Mm-hmm.
He went to your show last year. And in fact, I met him. He was the first one there when I pulled up to set up.
Yeah.
Him and his girlfriend Hunter, and they're just waiting for the doors to open and just start talking. And I asked them where they're from, And they said, oh, South Georgia. I said, they're 15 minutes from me.
Oh, wow.
And we've become friends, and he actually has a FlowPro now. But he is making great strides in this business. But like this week, this week, he had to re-strip, remove the sealer and redo it. And I think he got some product from you to do that.
Yeah, he was on the phone with me back and forth, and we were. I mean, I'm out. I'm not in the warehouse, but I'm not down. I'm on my hand. My phone is in my hand all day long, sitting there with my foot up, resting. So, So feel free to reach out and ask. If I don't know, I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt. I'm not going to fake it till I make it. I'm definitely going to give you the right answer, because if you fail, we all fail. So, I love to see these new guys grow. I love to see them just shoot up there, and they reach out and they're like, Miss Trudi, I just got 5 houses this week, and this is crazy. And I'm like, awesome. Just keep doing it. Just go, keep going. Because winter's coming soon. Just keep doing it.
Keep going. Stash that money up, because there's going to be months where you ain't going to do nothing.
You don't need no sleep in spring, because you're going to be hibernating in the winter.
Yep. But before we got a question there from Mike. But before we do that, I think Judge got a few things that he's gonna give out.
No, he's gonna give one.
Let's do one. We ain't gonna show it. We're just gonna let you pick. Well, I guess you can show what you're gonna do. But my question, and the first person to answer it gets what.
Let me show it first. Let me show what we're going. It's gonna be a ball valve. Let me find my camera.
There you go.
Or one of our rinse out valves, or a high flow swivel.
Oh, those Mossmatic swivels are awesome. Do you know that orifice in there is the same size as the 1/2 inch?
Yes. It'll be their choice of what they want, and right. So you do whatever you want to do.
Well, here's the question: the first person that gives us the date of the show in November gets their choice of product that Jud's giving away. But anyway, Mike's question was, while we're waiting on the answers, is there any upgrades coming to the FlowPro in 2025?
Yeah, I think next week we're releasing the Gen 5 fully. We did a small release a month or 2 ago, and we wanted to get the feel of it, and we found out that we needed to make a little change on the remote. This is I always go backwards. This is the remote that we currently use, and we're actually going to this remote on the Gen 5, and this is 100% waterproof. Okay? Nice.
So when you fall in the pool, it's good.
So if you drop it in the pool, you cool.
I'm thinking with the contractor attached to it.
and
Trudy, most people don't fall in pools, sweetheart.
Some people probably haven't seen it.
Oh, man, that is sexy.
This is what it looks like, and I'm gonna turn it on. So when you turn it on, you got power coming to your box.
Okay? That is.
I can see it.
Man, that's going to make our trucks look bad now. That is beautiful.
And then come back over here. When you push the button, it starts. This is one of the improvements. When you push the button, it'll start blinking, and when it makes contact, if it does not make contact, it will not come on. So now you see it's lit. Okay, so there's really no need for flashing lights like that one there, because if you look at the remote, you're on. You're pulling mix, and that works for all 3. Okay. Now here's the beauty about it. If you lose your remote between jobs or it dies, because this one is rechargeable, if it dies for whatever reason, it's a fast recharge, about 30 minutes, but you still want to keep working. Here's one of the best things, and it also runs 3 functions, not just one FlowPro. So you can go right here to these buttons. Let me see where I'm at. You can run it from the box. You can run all 3 functions. Let me get where I can. So that's what the lights are for when you're on manual mode and you have to do that. Let me see here. So that's some of the improvements we have for the FlowPro. Um, it also has some QR codes that you can scan your phone and take you to a troubleshooting page for the FlowPro. That way, it may help you not have to call unless you have to. We also are introducing another little similar to the Schertz box type injector, remote injector, and it can be run standalone, but also tied in with the FlowPro, which is what I do now. So realistically, I can do the downstream like a normal, and then if I want to rinse my injector out, I can hit the button 2 and it'll turn the bleach to water and turn the soap off. And now I can, on the last side of the house, I can do that and rinse out my injector while I'm washing and not doing it afterwards.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
So
a good time.
Yeah.
That little tiny 3-way ball valve.
Well, actually, I've made a little change. You'll like it. It's good. It's actually really good. But
he never leaves well enough alone.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I know I'm just keep talking, just telling you, but you know, there are some people that made similar products to the FlowPro, and everybody gets on to them and stuff like that. But you know what? I've become friends with those people, first of all, and what they've done is made me better. Right. They've made me make a better product. So there's nothing wrong with competition. I like it, and one of us, one of those guys, I'm very good friends with. So I never would have met him if he didn't do it, probably. Yep. So anyway, let's go to it. And that's John Hall. I'm gonna say his name.
All right, we have a winner.
He's a good dude. I mean, he's a cool dude. There ain't nothing wrong with John.
Nope.
We have a winner.
All right.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, Chris Berkner, he was the first and only one. So apparently you guys need to get on that website and register and find out when the class is or when the event is.
Well, he'll be there, I promise you.
Yep. He will.
Tell him to message me privately or which one he wants and send his address and all that, and I'll send it to him.
All right, Chris.
He probably heard me.
He probably heard. PM Jud. So you do a lot of other things. So you've got the Hudson float valve, but you have a different one. You made another one. So what is your different than the Hudson?
Well, I tell you, there's 3 float valves that our industry kind of uses now. One is the Hudson, which is tried and true. Everybody fusses about it, but it's a great float. Okay, It's a great valve. There's a couple things you need to do. It's got a screen inside. You need to take that screen out. And then it has a diffuser in the middle. I wish I had one with me. I don't have it. You need to take that out so water can flow straight in. And it'll do 40 to 50 gallons a minute. So the downside is it takes up capacity in your buffer tank. So if you just say you have a 200-gallon tank, it's going to take up 8 or 10 inches. That could be 20 gallons.
40 gallons.
Or however many, I don't know. And then the downside, it'll stick sometimes and overflow, but that's an easy fix, but you got to do it. Then you have the Jud valve, which is a very good system. And you can actually, if you have a problem with it, you can reach your hand in and do a quarter turn, take it out, fix it, take if it's clogged or whatever, and you can put it back in and never turn the water off and keep right on going and everything. It's got a little string with a ball, that you got to set, and you'll get almost to the top of the tank. And then I have mine, and that one flows every bit as good as the Hudson. And then you have the little float valve I did, which I did it mainly for people that don't run, 20 gallons a minute, coming out of their tank. It'll only run about 12 gallons a minute in, but it'll allow you to fill to the very top of the tank. It'll go to the very top. So if you're running 8-gallon a minute machine and you're by yourself, you're never gonna run out. It's gonna be fine. And I've got them on all my trailers now, but it's probably not for everybody. But it is a very it's for the single operators that are running 8 to 10 gallons a minute. Obviously, if you're doing commercial, you're not going to run. I mean, you're never going to have a problem because you got good water flow. But it's a good flow. It's done. I've got a lot. I don't even know how many. A lot of them out there, and I've only had one guy that said he just didn't like it and didn't use it. So maybe more, but they didn't tell me.
Yeah.
So it's a good float, and I wish I'd brought one in here, all three of them, because they all have their advantages. I personally, if I'm gonna run two machines and I'm running commercial type stuff, I would run a Hudson. It's tried and true.
Yeah.
But you got to take the stuff out. The Go is right there behind it, and you can mount it on the side of your tank, you know, and you're gonna have a string with a ball, and it's gonna fill to the very top. They're all three good, but they're all three good in different situations.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just like cleaning. You know, I did a post about pre-treating. This is how I do it. You know, and of course, everybody saying I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting chemical. My point of view, I don't like post-treating because, you know, you're just finishing up. The mom's bringing the kids home from the grocery store. They're all walking in the driveway and all down the walk path. They walk right in their house with some nice SH on their feet. You know, I don't like that. I don't like any liability of that. And my question is, why are you putting chemical on a clean surface?
Right.
You know, I know they told me there, and it's not wrong. You know, this is how I like to do it. This is how I've always done it. So their way's not wrong, even though they think my way's wrong, but they're not. You know, if you get customers happy, you get paid, and you get to go home, guess what? No callbacks. It's the right way to do it.
It goes back to that saying that Jud come up with. Contractor's preference. You know, I post treat. I do a lot of post treating. I mean, we get under them tree concrete.
Oh, yeah, we don't want to do subdivisions under those trees. We do post treat when it's necessary, but just on houses, driveways that's out in the sun. I mean, there's not really any need for it. I mean, you leave your SH there and it's 90-degree day. How potent is that SH going to be in 2 hours? I mean, or an hour. It's not.
Well, I do both when needed. You know, sometimes you have to pre-treat, and people argue with you, but it just makes it go quicker and faster.
It does.
And then 99% post-treat, but you know.
Hey, that was the same number I had.
Well, that's and that's funny. Well, never mind. I'll say on that. But there's a lot of arguments. You know, jetter or downstreaming, or you know, this or that, and post-treat and pre-treat is another one of the arguments, and they're both right.
Yeah.
If you get the job done, and it looks good, and you get to do anything.
I do believe, though, the guys that have the pressure washer that does not downstream, that has a soft wash system, I do believe wholeheartedly they need to learn how to downstream, because I've had guys come up, my AR-45's down, and of course we were having supply issues. We couldn't get parts. So what do? I got 3 houses, and I'm like, well, you got an 8-gallon a minute right there. Use that. And I'm like, we don't know how to. And I'm like, all right, let me set you up. Let me show you how to do it. Now you're good until your parts come in. So if you love to soft wash, that's great. If that's what you were trained on, but still learn how to use the pressure washer and downstream, because that could be.
Yeah, do both.
Well, I don't know how many people are on here that I've talked out of buying a FlowPro. A lot of them have never downstreamed before, and I say, why don't we do this? Why don't we buy an injector, or maybe a bypass, a chemical injector bypass, a manual one? Let's make sure you understand downstreaming first before you add the FlowPro. And that's going to do 2 things. They're going to better understand their equipment. And I'm not going to get a call saying your FlowPro is not full of chemicals, because they'll better understand it. And I've talked. I had one guy cuss me out of your show at the Nashville event that I helped you at. He wanted to buy a FlowPro. I said, have you ever downstreamed? He said, no. I said, why don't we do this? And first thing out of his mouth was, is my money not good enough for you? And then he said a few other words. And I said, I tell you what, we got about 10 left. I'll see you all 10 of them. You know, I'm probably my own worst enemy, but really it's going to help them in the long run. I had a guy yesterday, I talked him into just buying the bypass. But he really wants the FlowPro because he used it on one of his buddies. So he knows it, but he's never really downstreamed.
Yeah. I mean, I talk a lot of people out of stuff. They come in and see on YouTube, they want the 10-gallon minute, they want the P40 or the AR, they want this and they want that. And then I ask them what their budget is. And I'm like, well, you're lucky if you got a cold water machine with that one. So, you know, let's talk about what you're going to do. Let's talk about what you're going to need for you to start making money and learn the process and learn the industry. And then when you put your marketing down and you start getting jobs lined up, then come back in here and we'll start upgrading you and getting you where you need to be for where you're at in your business and you're in the industry. Because you go out there all guns a-blazing, you know, with a soft wash, just do 6% on everything. It's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Well, what's even worse, the guy that I talked to yesterday, he pulls out his 12-volt and his pressure washer hose and his garden hose to hook up. So he pulls out 3 hoses and he uses 2 to wash with. And I said, well, if you just downstream, you're just going to pull 1 hose to work with, and on 95% of your jobs. So it'll make your life a lot easier.
Yes,
I know when we was doing, I think it was the show in Destin one year. I think it's the first time we did the gadget thing. I was helping Jud, and he said he's got all that. He said, we need to sell all these. I said, okay. But about the same story come up. The guy was wanting one. And Jud said, well, have you ever done this before? And he said, no. And Jud was trying to talk him out of buying the whole thing. Well, I got talking to the guy's wife, and she said, I'm the one that does the walking back and forth to the truck and the trailer while he's running the hose and stuff. And I said, well, so Jud's talking to the wrong person. She said, yeah. I said, well, she said, we're going to buy one regardless.
I bought one. I remember that. I remember them.
So he's got the husband over here trying to explain to him, let's not go this route right here. Let's make sure you understand. And here I am behind both of them's back over here with the wife saying, hey, look, you know, this is going to be a good investment. He just going to have to learn how to use it the proper way.
So Shannon's question here, the 5, you go with the 5.5 or 8. Let's talk about what you have on your trailer. What you're going to need is the buffer tank. The buffer tank size is going to be huge different between the two. So, you know, I don't know what you have trailer size, or if you've got a skid or what you have already, but the thing about upgrading, if you upgrade from a 4 to an 8, you're going to need a lot more stuff than when you are to go from a 4 to a 5.5, because you don't need, you know, you don't need a huge ass buffer tank, you know, with a 5.5. You know, you could probably get away with a 55 pushing it, but you could, because some 5.5s still have a spigot hole on it, so you can screw it up in there. I don't like that. I think that's way too much for a spigot, because I know some spigots over here like, yeah, need some Flomax or something. I don't know, whatever that stuff's called. But anyway, you need some help. So what, you know, that's what you need to figure out is what are you working with, what you want to upgrade right now, and, you know, bring all that to the table, bring all that information when you call somebody, when you call the warehouse and you ask this question, say, hey, I got this buffer tank, I got this hose reel, I got this hose, this is what I've got. And then we're more able to sell you what you need, not what you want. So, you know, it could be from a couple $100 or, you know, maybe a couple thousand to a couple tens of thousands if you're replacing all your hoses and all your fittings and all that. So, it depends, Shannon. If just let's figure out what you got on your trailer and what you've got budget wise and see what we can do for you. But me, I've always ran with an 8 and a 9. So that's, if somebody comes up and has a problem with their 4 and I'm looking at it like it's little foreign machine. I'm like, I've never used one of these, but let me see. So I figured it out, but once you're used to something, it's hard to transfer quickly. But once you get up there with the big boys, you'll never look back.
Yep.
So we are out. So we were. Oh, actually, let's give one more thing away. I'm going to give a gallon of surfactant out. So Anthony, what's the question?
Somebody tell me closest to Judge age without going over.
Ooh, I'm glad you didn't say my age. I would have to drive up there and smack you.
Well, yeah. We can change that.
I'll just call your wife and have her do it for me.
I'll just tell you, 29 is not close.
We may have to get back with that one tomorrow sometime and just let them start throwing numbers out there.
Alana said 52.
I got all night. Y'all got me up now, so.
He's about ready to go to talk to those people in China now. Okay, so we got a 52.
We got a 52, a 66. Anywhere close, Jud?
Yeah.
66 over, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
I hope so. Or he's going to call Tracy and have her smack you.
How much longer you want to give them before I tell them?
Well, I think
Well, we ain't got but 2 answers so far.
I don't know. Everybody's like they're not even talking right now.
All right.
You got any P40s in stock?
In stock right now. I did, Bruce. I think we got them in stock. I think we got 2 left. Oh, Shannon said 73. We're going the wrong direction.
We're going the wrong direction.
64.
Man.
We got 64 now. We're at 64, 66.
Still going over. God almighty, I'm old.
Is it how old you are or how old you feel?
Well, I feel 73. Shannon wins.
That's what I'm saying.
Just telling. Hey, but one of them lower.
All right, so the 52 one. All right, well, PM, and I will get you a surfactant.
63.
63.
Bruce was almost right on the money.
Bruce was 64. Give it to the next one. All right, Bruce.
Give it to the next one who was close.
Hey, Bruce. All right, Bruce, PM me, and I'll send you a surfactant.
Yeah, I thought you said don't go over.
Yeah, I
well,
did.
He changed his answer to 63 as soon as Anthony said it.
Oh, okay.
Or you said it? Somebody said it. All right, we got it, Bruce. You're good.
Give it to him.
Yeah, we're 4 minutes over. I need my pain meds.
All right.
So my foot's swelling and my shoulder's swelling, and I'm for everybody. I do have a top on, so I haven't been sitting here.
Easy.
I'm pulling it up, not down, Anthony. So
Hey, I seriously enjoyed it. This is kind of out of my comfort zone, and I really enjoyed it, and I'd love to do it again one day.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it closer to the show, and you'll have what you're going to be going over gadget wise all set up there, and when after these 3 months are done, and you can take a breather, write it down, and know what you're doing.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching, and make sure you register. I think we had $25,000 worth of giveaways last year. We had 3 or 4.
You got to stick around at the end of the event that last day, because some of them vendors, when they leave, they don't want to carry that stuff back with them, so they just empty them out and bring them over to us and say, "Hey, y'all give this away." And that's what happened last year, and we had like 12 bags from Pelosi?
Oh my gosh, there was so much stuff.
And them that they just emptied stuff out. It was.
And what?
Closer to the show, you can talk about the improvements you made on the ticket this year. Don't do it tonight.
No.
It'll be much easier.
Yes, it will be. Yeah, we're still working on that. We've got a couple little things we're working on, but we will not have 20,000 red tickets floating around for sure this time. So my guys will be doing what they're supposed to be doing.
So it doesn't matter.
Do what?
Darren Newsom's gonna win them all.
Him or that other guy.
That was hilarious. He just sat there on the stage. I'm like, here we go.
Yep. All right. Good talking to you.
Nice talking to you guys. All right. Bye-bye.